The untamable prisoner. The colony was quiet that night, but the silence was heavy with fear. Behind the strongest iron bars, in the deepest cell, sat the alien woman everyone called untamable. Her skin carried scars like maps of old battles, her eyes glowed with a wild fire, and her body, though chained, looked ready to strike at any moment. She had broken guards' arms, bitten through steel restraints, and even shattered the door of her cage once before they reinforced it with human alloy. The people of the colony whispered whenever they passed her cell. "She's a monster," they said. "She'll never bow, she'll never obey." Children were told stories about her to make them behave. "She'll come for you if you wander too far," mothers warned. Even the soldiers avoided her cell unless in groups. Yet despite the fear, the alien woman never begged, never cried, never asked for freedom. She sat there, day and night, her back straight, her chin high, daring anyone to come close. Her silence was louder than screams, her presence heavier than chains. But one day, everything changed. A man walked into the colony. He was human, dressed not as a soldier, but as a traveler, dusty boots, a simple coat, no weapon in his hands. His name was Marcus, though few knew him. He had a calmness in his eyes, something steady that did not shake under the colony's gossip or the guards' warnings. He went straight to the cell where the alien woman sat. The guards laughed. "You don't want to go near her," they said. "She'll tear your throat out before you can blink." Marcus did not answer. He stepped closer until he stood right at the bars. The alien woman's golden eyes flicked toward him, sharp as a blade. The crowd that gathered held their breath, waiting for her to attack, waiting for him to flinch. But Marcus didn't flinch. He looked at her as if she wasn't a monster, as if she wasn't untamable. And then he spoke, his voice steady, quiet, but strong enough for her to hear. "Come with me," he said. The colony erupted in laughter. The guards doubled over, shaking their heads. "Come with you?" they sneered. "She doesn't come with anyone. She kills anyone who tries." But something strange happened. The alien woman did not leap forward, did not roar or bare her teeth. Instead, she tilted her head, just slightly, studying the human before her. Her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a snarl, wasn't quite a smile. Her chains rattled as she stood, tall and terrifying, her shadow spilling across the cell. The guards raised their weapons, shouting for Marcus to step back. But he didn't move. He simply stood there, calm as a mountain, eyes locked with hers. For a long moment, the air was heavy, filled with fear and tension. Then, without warning, the alien woman took one step forward. The crowd gasped. The ground seemed to tremble beneath her weight. But instead of striking, instead of tearing through the bars, she lowered her head slightly, as though considering his words. The untamable woman, the fiercest prisoner in the colony, was not ignoring him. She was listening. "Why?" one of the guards shouted at Marcus. "Why risk your life for her? She's not human. She's not safe." Marcus did not answer them. His eyes never left the alien woman's. Finally, he spoke again, softly, almost like he was speaking to a wounded child. "You've been caged long enough," he said. "If you want freedom, walk with me." The words hung in the air like a spark in dry grass. The alien woman's chains rattled again, her breath coming faster, her eyes narrowing. She gripped the bars so tightly the metal groaned. The crowd shouted, ready to flee, sure she would strike. But instead, she released the bars and sat down again, her gaze still fixed on Marcus. Something had shifted, something no one could explain. That night, the whispers spread across the colony. Some said the human was mad, others said he had bewitched her. But one thing was certain. For the first time in years, the untamable prisoner had not shown only rage. For the first time, she had looked at someone not with hatred, but with curiosity. And everyone knew, deep in their bones, that this was only the beginning. Marcus walked away from the cell, his face unreadable, his voice calm as he told the guards, "Tomorrow, I'll take her with me." The guards laughed again, but their laughter was nervous now. Because they had seen it too, the look in her eyes, the silence that carried weight. It was no longer just a cage holding a beast. It was the start of something no one in the colony could understand. The night grew darker, the colony restless. And in her cell, the alien woman sat quietly. For the first time, her thoughts were not only of escape, rage, or blood. For the first time, she thought of a human's voice, steady and fearless, saying the words no one had ever dared speak. Come with me. The walk into freedom. The next morning, the colony gathered near the prison, their curiosity stronger than fear. No one truly believed the human would return, but he did, walking with the same calm steps, his coat dusted from travel, his eyes steady. The guards mocked him, shaking their heads. She'll rip him apart today, they said. This fool wants to lead a storm with a rope. Inside the cell, the alien woman sat in silence, her golden eyes locked on the man who had spoken strange words the night before. Her chains rattled as she rose, her tall figure filling the small cage like a shadow swallowing the light. Marcus stood before her, unarmed, no whip, no chain, no fear. The guards opened the cell door with hesitation, weapons raised, their voices trembling as they warned. Step back, human, she will kill you. But Marcus didn't step back. Instead, he stepped forward, into the darkness of the cell. Gasps echoed through the crowd, some even turned away, expecting blood to paint the floor. The alien woman's chest rose and fell, her muscles tense, her claws twitching. The man's voice came again, calm and steady. Walk with me, he said. No chains, no prison, just a choice. For the first time in years, the prisoner felt something stir inside her chest. Not rage, not hunger, not pain, but confusion. Every human she had seen before came with weapons and cruelty. But this one came with nothing but his voice. Her lips parted in a low growl, the sound shaking the air, yet her feet moved, slow, deliberate, one step, then another. The guards shouted, "Hold her! Stop her!" But Marcus raised his hand, his eyes never leaving hers. "She's not leaving in chains," he said. "She's walking." And she did. The untamable prisoner walked out of the cell, her movements heavy like thunder, her shadow stretching long in the sunlight. The colony froze, disbelief etched on every face. No one dared breathe as she passed them, her head high, her eyes daring anyone to stop her. The human walked beside her, calm as if escorting a friend. The whispers followed them. "This is madness," some said. "She will kill him tonight," others swore. But Marcus did not look back. He led her down the dusty streets, through the market where merchants dropped their baskets in shock, through the square where children hid behind their mothers. The alien woman's nostrils flared, smelling freedom, tasting air not filtered through iron bars. Her steps were powerful, every movement like a storm barely contained. Yet she did not run, she did not strike, she followed. When they reached the edge of the colony, Marcus stopped. He turned to face her, his eyes calm, his voice steady. "You are free now," he said. The words confused her, her claws flexed, her lips curled in frustration. Freedom, the word sounded strange in her ears, like a language half forgotten. She had dreamed of escape, of tearing down walls, but no one had ever offered freedom as a gift. She studied him, her golden eyes narrowing. "Why?" Her voice was low, broken, rough like stones grinding together. The colony gasped, for many had never heard her speak before. Marcus didn't smile, didn't gloat. He only said, "Because no one deserves to live in chains." The words struck her harder than any blade. Her heart pounded, memories of her people's cages flashing through her mind. The screams, the whips, the burning fires. For the first time in years, her legs trembled, not from rage, but from something far heavier. She looked at him and saw not a master, not a captor, but something she didn't know how to name. The guards shouted from behind, their weapons raised. "Bring her back. She's too dangerous." The crowd joined in, yelling, screaming, their fear louder than reason. But Marcus did not move. He simply said, "She leaves with me." And then he turned his back on them all, walking into the wild lands beyond the colony's edge. The alien woman followed, each step shaking the earth, her eyes still narrowed in suspicion, but her chains gone, her path uncertain. That night, Marcus made a small fire beneath the stars. He offered her food, simple bread, clean water. She snarled, knocking it aside, her pride too sharp, her spirit too wild. Marcus didn't argue. He didn't force her. He simply placed the food closer to her and sat by the fire, silent. Hours passed, the flames crackling, the night air cold. And at last, when she thought he slept, she reached for the bread, tearing into it with hunger hidden behind anger. Marcus did not open his eyes, but a small, unseen smile touched his lips. The colony spoke of it for days. Some swore the human had bewitched her. Others believed he would be dead before the week ended. But none could deny what they had seen with their own eyes. The fiercest, untamable alien woman in the colony had walked out of her cage. Not dragged, not chained, not beaten. She had walked beside a human. And for the first time, her rage did not guide her steps. Something else did. Something she did not yet understand. The night wind whispered through the wild lands, carrying the sound of chains that had finally fallen. And in the silence of the firelight, two lives that should have been enemies sat together, the untamable and the unafraid, both knowing the world would never see them the same way again. A past written in blood. The fire crackled low that night, its glow painting the alien woman's face in shifting shadows. She sat away from Marcus, her back against a stone, her eyes never leaving him, sharp and untrusting. But when the wind grew colder and the flames dimmed, her body grew restless, her breaths heavier, her claws twitching against the ground. Soon, her eyes closed, but sleep did not bring peace. It dragged her back into a world she thought she had buried. She dreamed of chains, of iron walls and fire licking the sky. She heard the cries of her people, bound and dragged through mud, their voices breaking as whips cut the air. She saw soldiers laughing as her clan was beaten, her father's roar silenced with a blade, her mother's arms torn from her in the dust. Her heart pounded, her throat burned, and in the dream, she fought with everything she had, blood spilling from her claws, her body breaking. But no matter how many she cut down, more came, until even her strength could not save the ones she loved. She awoke with a scream, her body lurching forward, her claws flashing in the firelight. Marcus did not move, even as her hand came within inches of his throat. He only looked at her, calm, steady, as if he had been waiting. Her chest heaved, her golden eyes wild, filled with tears that refused to fall. She stared at him, trembling with fury and pain, her voice a raw growl. "They took everything from me," she said, "everything." Marcus did not speak right away. He watched her as one might watch a storm, knowing it could tear him apart, but refusing to run. Finally, he said, his voice low and steady, "Tell me." She snarled, shaking her head, her claws digging into the earth. "You wouldn't understand," she spat. "Your kind, your people, they made the chains, they built the cages." Her eyes narrowed, burning with rage. "You are all the same." Marcus's face did not change. His eyes stayed calm, though his jaw tightened slightly. "I am not them," he said simply. The alien woman looked away, her breath sharp and uneven. But the firelight betrayed her, showing the cracks in her armor. Her body shook, not from rage now, but from memories that would never leave her. Slowly, her voice broke into words. "They came to my world when I was a child," she whispered. "Your soldiers, your empire. They said they brought peace, but all they brought was fire." Her voice grew harsher, her words trembling like blades. "They chained us, forced us to fight in their pits, to kneel in their colonies, to watch as our blood became their entertainment." Her eyes glistened, but no tear dared fall. She had sworn long ago not to cry before humans. Yet Marcus did not mock her, did not turn away. He only listened, his silence stronger than any promise. Her chest rose and fell, her words spilling faster now. "My mate died fighting 3 of your soldiers. He was stronger than all of them. But their blades pierced him one by one until he fell, smiling, still trying to protect me." Her claws dug deeper into the dirt, breaking the ground beneath her. They threw his body aside as if he was nothing, and when I screamed, they laughed. The night grew heavier, the wind colder. Marcus's hands rested on his knees, still and calm, but his eyes were not. They burned with something she did not expect. Not pity, but sorrow, not mockery, but respect. "I am sorry," he said quietly. She turned on him, her teeth bared. "Sorry?" she growled. "Do you think that word can bring him back? Do you think your weak sound will erase the chains from my people's necks?" Marcus did not move. "I know it cannot," he said, "but I can listen, and I can see you for what you are, not a monster, not untamable, but someone who survived what no one should have." The words struck her like an arrow. For years she had been seen only as a beast, a danger, a curse. No one had ever called her a survivor. She looked at him in silence, her breath slowing, her claws loosening their grip on the soil. Her golden eyes searched his face for mockery, but there was none. Only steady truth. And for the first time, she felt the weight of her own story less heavy, as if speaking it had torn away a piece of the chains still wrapped around her soul. She turned away, curling against the stone, her voice low. "You are strange, human," she muttered, "strange and foolish." Marcus smiled faintly, though she did not see it. "Maybe," he said, "but I am here." The fire burned lower, the stars wheeled above them. And in the silence, the fiercest alien woman in the colony, the one they called untamable, closed her eyes again. Her dreams were still filled with blood, but the human's voice echoed through them, steady, unyielding. Not as a captor's command, but as a promise. "I am here." The human's kindness. Morning broke with a pale light, spilling over the wild lands where Marcus had set his camp. The alien woman stirred awake, her golden eyes scanning the horizon, her body tense as if expecting chains to fall upon her again. But there were none, only the crackling fire and the calm figure of Marcus sitting nearby, sharpening a piece of wood into a spear. She narrowed her eyes, suspicious. "Why don't you bind me?" she asked, her voice low, dangerous. "Because I don't need to," Marcus replied, not even looking up, his hands moving steadily. Her claws flexed, frustration burning inside her. Every human she had ever known tried to control her with whips, chains, or threats. But this man gave her nothing to fight against, nothing to destroy. It unsettled her more than any weapon could. She rose to her feet, pacing, circling him like a predator testing its prey. Marcus remained still, calm as stone. The more she tried to rattle him, the less she understood him. When the sun rose higher, Marcus set food near her, roasted roots, dried meat, clean water. She snarled, slapping it away. The meat fell into the dirt, the roots scattered, the water spilled. Marcus did not scold her, he only sighed, picked up what could be saved, and placed it near her again. She stared at him, puzzled. "Do you think I am weak? That I will beg like a starving dog?" she growled. Marcus finally met her eyes, his voice steady. "No," he said, "I think you are strong, but even the strongest must eat." The words stung her pride, yet they were not cruel. Hours passed, the hunger gnawed at her belly. When Marcus turned his back, busy with the fire, she snatched the food and devoured it, her movements quick, as if ashamed. Marcus did not turn, did not laugh, did not speak. He acted as if he had not seen. Her chest tightened at that, for even in her defiance, he gave her dignity. Days passed like this. Each morning Marcus offered food. Each night he built the fire. She refused, then accepted when no one looked. He never forced her, never mocked her, never used her hunger against her. Slowly, her growls softened. Her eyes lingered longer on him when she thought he wasn't watching. Still, her pride remained sharp, her spirit untamed. One evening, a storm broke over the wild lands. Rain lashed down in sheets, wind howled, and lightning split the sky. The alien woman sat shivering, her body drenched, but she refused to move closer to the fire Marcus had built beneath a rocky overhang. Marcus glanced at her, the rain soaking his own shoulders. "You'll freeze out there," he said. "I don't need your fire," she snapped. Yet as the night deepened, her body trembled harder, her lips blue. Without a word, Marcus stood, lifted his coat, and draped it over her shoulders. She stiffened, ready to throw it off, but the warmth was too sharp, too sudden. Her claws clutched the coat tight, though she growled through clenched teeth. "I didn't ask for this." "I know," Marcus said simply, "but I gave it anyway." For the first time, she fell silent, her golden eyes lowering. The storm raged, but something inside her shifted. Not broken, not tamed, but cracked, like stone touched by water. She remembered the humans who chained her, who laughed as her people froze in cages. This one was different. She hated that she noticed it, hated that her heart beat differently when he spoke without cruelty. And yet she could not deny it. Later, when the storm passed, Marcus tended a small wound on his hand, a cut from gathering wood. He wrapped it with cloth, but the blood seeped through. The alien woman watched in silence, something heavy stirring inside her. For the first time, she reached forward, her claws clumsy but gentle. She touched his hand, tearing a strip from her own garment, wrapping it around his wound. Marcus looked at her, surprised. "You didn't have to," he said softly. Her golden eyes burned as she snapped, "Don't mistake this for weakness." Marcus smiled faintly, "I wouldn't dare." That night, she lay closer to the fire, the warmth easing her bones. She glanced at Marcus, who sat awake, staring into the flames. Her voice was quiet, almost unwilling. "You are strange, human," she muttered. "No one has treated me like this before." Marcus turned his head, his calm eyes steady. "Maybe that's why you've never trusted anyone," he said, "because no one ever tried kindness first." Her chest tightened again. She hated his words, yet they burrowed into her heart. For years, she had been the untamable prisoner, the beast, the monster. But sitting by the fire, wrapped in the coat of a human, she felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Not freedom, not peace, but the first fragile spark of trust. And though she turned away to hide it, she knew the truth. The chains on her body were gone. But it was the chains inside her heart that Marcus was breaking. Not with force, not with power, but with something far stronger. Kindness. The attack on the colony. The days passed in uneasy silence. The colony watched from afar, whispering like a restless sea. Some said Marcus had lost his mind. Others swore the alien woman would kill him in his sleep. But instead, she stayed, walking beside him when he returned to trade, her eyes sharp, her presence fierce. Children hid behind their mothers. Guards tightened their grips on their weapons. The sight of her outside the cage was too much for them to believe. Yet Marcus walked calmly, as if nothing was wrong. And the alien woman, though her gaze burned with suspicion, did not strike. It was enough to stir unease in every heart. The untamable prisoner was free, and no one knew if that meant doom or salvation. Then, one night, the sky tore open with fire. The alarms rang through the colony, shrill and desperate. Raiders had come, brutal scavengers who lived on plunder and blood. Ships landed outside the walls, their engines screaming. The ground shook as armored beasts and armed raiders poured into the colony. Screams filled the night, mothers clutching children, soldiers rushing to hold the gates. Marcus ran to the square, his breath sharp, his heart heavy. He saw flames rising, people falling, the colony breaking under the weight of chaos. And behind him, a shadow loomed, the alien woman. Her golden eyes glowed like fire, her body tense, her claws ready. This was her chance, her moment to flee into the wild and never return. The chaos gave her freedom. No one could stop her if she ran. But she didn't run. Instead, she turned toward the raiders, a low growl rumbling in her chest. Her claws flexed, her teeth bared, her voice rising like thunder. And then she charged. The ground trembled beneath her steps. She struck the first raider with a blow so fierce his armor cracked like glass. Another swung his blade, but she caught it in her claws, snapping it in two before slamming him to the dirt. The colony froze for a moment, stunned by the sight. The same woman they had feared for years now stood between them and their enemies. Marcus fought beside her, his spear flashing in the firelight. He moved with precision, striking where her fury left openings. Together, they moved like storm and stone, her power wild, his calm guiding it. She tore through raiders as if they were nothing, her roars shaking the night. The people who once called her monster now watched her defend them with a rage that burned brighter than any fire. Children screamed as a raider lunged toward them. But before his blade could fall, the alien woman was there. She caught him by the throat, lifting him into the air, her golden eyes blazing. She slammed him into the ground so hard the earth cracked beneath him. The children stared wide-eyed, not with fear, but with awe. For the first time, they saw her not as a beast, but as a protector. The battle raged on, flames rising, metal clashing, screams echoing into the night. And everywhere the raiders turned, they met her fury. She moved like a storm unchained, her claws leaving trails of blood, her roar shaking even the bravest invaders. The guards, once too afraid to even look at her, now fought beside her, emboldened by her strength. "Push them back!" they shouted, their voices filled with fire. When the last raider fell, silence gripped the colony. The fires still burned, smoke rising into the sky, but the enemy was gone. Bodies lay scattered, both human and raider. And at the center of it all stood the alien woman, her chest heaving, her claws dripping, her golden eyes blazing through the smoke. The people stared, not knowing what to say. This was the same prisoner they had called monster, the same woman they had locked in chains. Yet tonight, she had saved them. She looked at their faces, waiting for fear, waiting for curses, waiting for someone to raise a weapon against her. But none came. Instead, whispers rose, trembling but clear. "She saved us. She fought for us." Marcus stepped beside her, his calm eyes scanning the crowd. "She chose this," he said, his voice steady. "She could have left you all to burn, but she didn't." The alien woman looked at him, her chest heavy with a feeling she didn't want to name. She had fought for survival all her life, fought because she had to. But tonight she had fought for something else. For him, for the colony, for people who still feared her. And that truth struck her harder than any blade ever had. As the flames died down and the colony gathered their wounded, the whispers spread. The monster had become their savior. But in the shadows, leaders muttered, their eyes sharp, their voices bitter. "She is dangerous," they warned. "She cannot be trusted, no matter what she did tonight." The alien woman heard their words, her golden eyes narrowing, her claws curling tight. She knew chains still hung in their hearts, chains heavier than iron. And though she had spilled blood for them, she wondered if she would ever be free of their fear. Yet when Marcus touched her arm, steady and calm, the storm inside her eased. For once, she had not fought alone. For once, someone had stood with her, not against her. And deep inside, beneath scars and fury, a spark flickered. The beginning of something she had never dared to hope for. The price of trust. The dawn after the battle was grey and heavy. Smoke still curled from broken homes, and the air carried the bitter smell of ash and blood. The colony moved slowly, carrying their wounded, counting their dead, rebuilding what little they could. And at the heart of it all stood the alien woman, her golden eyes sharp, her body still marked with raider blood. She had fought harder than any soldier, had stood where others fell, and yet the stares she felt now were not gratitude. They were fear. Mothers pulled their children close when she passed, guards tightened their grips on their weapons. She could hear the whispers, low but sharp. "She's dangerous. She only fought because she enjoyed killing. She saved us, yes, but tomorrow she might destroy us." Marcus heard them too, his jaw tightening as he walked beside her. He had expected fear, but not after what they had seen, not after her claws had defended their children. He stopped in the square, raising his voice above the murmurs. "She fought for you," he said firmly. "She could have left us all to die, but she didn't." The crowd shifted, uneasy, some nodding, some scowling. One of the leaders, a tall man named Harvin, stepped forward, his face hard as stone. "She fought because she's a beast of war," Harvin said, That is all she knows. The alien woman's claws twitched, her lips curling in a low growl. Marcus raised his hand gently, calming her, his own voice steady. No, she fought because it was the right thing to do, he said. But Haven's eyes were cold. And who are you to speak for her? He demanded. You brought her out of her cage. You walked her through our streets. You unleashed her. His words spread through the crowd like sparks in dry grass. A murmur rose, louder this time. His protecting her. His blinded by her. His dangerous too. The alien woman's golden eyes flashed, her chest rising with fury. She had saved them, bled for them, and now they turned their voices against the one man who believed in her. Her claws scraped the stone beneath her feet, but Marcus stepped in front of her, his voice firm. Blame me if you must, he said, but do not blame her for choosing to protect you. The crowd did not calm. Fear is stronger than gratitude. And in their eyes, Marcus was not a hero for trusting her. He was a traitor for bringing her into their lives. Haven's voice cut through the noise, sharp and merciless. We cannot trust her, and we cannot trust you, he declared. If she stays, you endanger us all. A heavy silence fell. Marcus felt the weight of every eye upon him, every whisper turning into judgment. The alien woman stood behind him, her heart pounding with rage and confusion. For the first time, she realized this fight was not hers alone. The human who freed her was now paying the price for her presence. She stepped forward, her voice carrying like thunder. If you fear me, then fight me, she growled, her golden eyes burning. Face me with your blades, your chains, your soldiers. I will not kneel again. The crowd flinched, stepping back, their fear clear. But Haven sneered, his voice bitter. See? She is a monster, nothing more. Marcus turned to her, his calm eyes meeting hers. Don't, he said softly, don't give them the proof they want. Her chest rose and fell, fury burning through her, but his voice cut deeper than any blade. She stopped, her claws lowering slowly. Her golden eyes locked on his, searching, questioning. Why did he still believe, even when his own people turned against him? That night, the colony leaders gathered, their decision sharp and final. Marcus was called before them, the alien woman standing at his side. Haven's voice spoke the words Marcus already expected. You are guilty of endangering this colony, he said coldly. By freeing her, by trusting her, you risked us all. Marcus did not flinch, his voice calm. And yet she saved you, he replied. How many lives would be ash without her claws? Haven's eyes narrowed. Perhaps, he admitted, but fear cannot be erased by a single battle. The sentence came down like a blade. Leave, Haven ordered. Take her and go. If you stay, you will bring ruin upon us. The crowd was silent, their faces a storm of conflict. Some looked ashamed, some relieved, some even grateful but too afraid to speak. The alien woman's heart burned, her claws twitching with the urge to strike, to silence them forever. But Marcus only bowed his head slightly, his voice steady as he said, Then we will go. They left the colony that night, the gates closing behind them with a sound like chains. The alien woman walked in silence, her golden eyes glowing in the dark, her chest heavy with something she had never felt before. Guilt. Not for herself, but for him. He had freed her, trusted her, stood beside her, and now he was cast out because of her. She stopped suddenly, her claws digging into the dirt, her voice low, trembling. Why? She asked. Why do you still walk with me, when your people turn against you? Marcus looked at her, the firelight of the stars in his eyes. Because I gave you my word, he said simply, and because you are not what they think you are. Her chest ached at his words, a strange ache, unfamiliar and heavy. She had carried chains, pain, rage, but never this. And in that moment, as they walked into the unknown together, she realized something terrifying. The fiercest chains are not the ones forged by iron. They are the ones forged by trust. And now, she carried his. A new beginning. The night air was cold as Marcus and the alien woman walked beyond the gates. The sound of the colony's heavy doors closing echoed behind them, sharp as a final judgment. She did not look back, her pride would not allow it, but her heart burned with fury. They had cast out the only man who showed her kindness, and it was because of her. For the first time in her life, the chains she carried were not on her body, but inside her chest. They traveled in silence for hours, the stars above their only witness. Marcus walked calmly, as always, his steady steps guiding their path. But she felt restless, her claws flexing, her breath sharp, her voice breaking the silence. "You should hate me," she growled. "Because of me, they called you traitor, they cast you out." Marcus glanced at her, his face calm, his eyes steady. "Hate you?" he asked quietly. "No, I chose this, and I would choose it again." Her chest tightened, her golden eyes lowering. For years she had known nothing but cruelty, chains, and battle. No one had ever chosen her. No one had ever stood by her when it cost them everything. She wanted to snarl, to deny the storm rising inside her, but the words would not come. Instead, she whispered, almost unwillingly, "You are a fool, human." Marcus smiled faintly, not offended. "Perhaps," he said, "but sometimes fools see truths the wise are too afraid to believe." They found shelter in the ruins of an old outpost, broken walls and scattered metal twisted by time. Marcus built a small fire, the flames chasing away the shadows. The alien woman sat near him, the coat he once gave her still draped over her shoulders. She stared into the fire, her voice low. "All my life, I thought strength was the only thing that mattered," she said, "to fight, to break, to never bow." Her golden eyes flickered in the firelight, sharp yet uncertain. "But you showed me something I never understood." Marcus looked at her, waiting. Her claws clenched, her voice trembling with the weight of words she had never spoken. "You showed me that chains can be broken without claws, without blood, without rage," she said. Her chest rose and fell, her pride fighting against the truth spilling from her. "You broke mine, human," she whispered, "and that terrifies me." The fire crackled between them, the night heavy with silence. Marcus did not smile, did not speak quickly. He only said, his voice steady, "Then let that fear become strength, not to destroy, but to build." Her golden eyes locked on his, searching for lies, but finding none. In that moment, she realized something deeper than survival. She was not just untamable because of rage or fury. She was untamable because no one had ever given her a reason to stop fighting. But Marcus had, and that reason was trust. The next day, they continued into the wild lands. Together they built shelter, hunted for food, defended each other against the beasts that roamed the edges of the world. Slowly, the fierce alien woman who once snarled at every kindness began to change. Not broken, not tamed, but transformed. She still walked with strength, her claws sharp, her spirit proud. But now she fought not only for herself. She fought for him. Word spread even beyond the colony. Travelers whispered of a human who walked with the fiercest alien woman alive. Some spoke with fear, others with awe. But those who saw them with their own eyes could not deny the truth. They were not master and prisoner, not captor and beast. They were companions, bound not by chains, but by choice. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the sky with fire, the alien woman stood on a hilltop. Her golden eyes looked across the endless horizon, her voice carrying softly. "All my life, they called me monster," she said. "But with you, I feel something different." Marcus stood beside her, his gaze steady on the horizon. "What do you feel?" he asked. She hesitated, her pride warring with her heart, but finally she answered, "I feel free." The word left her lips like a blade turned into a feather. It was the first time she had spoken it without rage, without pain. Marcus nodded, his calm voice carrying warmth. "Then it was worth everything," he said. The alien woman turned to him, her golden eyes burning not with fury, but with something new, something fragile. She had been the fiercest, untamable alien woman in the colony. But now, Beside a human who chose her when the world cast her away, she had found her new beginning. Not chained, not feared, not broken, but free. And as the stars rose above them, she finally understood that sometimes, the strongest warriors are not those who fight alone, but those who find someone worth fighting for.